Hi there, and welcome to the Intellectual Adventure Podcast. Today's adventure is joined by four of us. We have potentially a few others lurking, might join us in the comments later, but right now we will be starting off the show with Chad, Cap, Conestoga Man down there, as we adventure through the history of fertilizers. We have picked this topic today in hopes to find something new and interesting for the time right now, the current time being February. Late in the show, we're going to have some information about some tips to prepare before and the onset of the season to come for agriculture. So let's see, how's everyone doing today?
See, I'm doing pretty good today. It's been pretty busy in the HVAC world over here where we're at, just because we just got a bunch of snow. New work challenges, new things to overcome, but we're taking it in stride. We're doing the best we can, but other than that, it's good to be able to sit down and have a discussion.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to this all week, and we're brainstorming new ideas to incorporate within the show and what to have users interact with, like art and vinyl records, for an example, to submit to the show. And we could go over the history of that and try to dive into it as a panel and explore and create narrative based on that process and experience between us. And that's something I love, especially about vinyls, because of the history involved of that culture and what you can discover based on where you look.
That's just something that I've been thinking about a lot with the connection that vinyl records make. It's this discovery that I've just kind of stumbled upon and really been enjoying getting into with Cameron, is the connection that vinyls make between history, music, and art. It's all right there in a antique store. Just this connection to be made, and I think it'd be fun to get to talk about it. I think we have a lot in the collection sitting right over there that would just be really interesting talking points. I think it'd be fun to be able to pull those out at some point during some of the next, upcoming shows.
I have one that's autographed.
Which one is that, or do you want to save that for reveal that later?
Well, I'd reveal it now. It's
Just like, nope.
Nope, now.
Good enough. I saw the guy in concert in Orangevale, California, in the 90s. His name is Robin Trower, and I brought one of his albums with, and he signed it for me. So I have it in my collection behind me. I got his autograph. I have it framed up, and I went and looked online at what autographed albums from the guy go for, and they're $400 to $600. So
That's pretty good. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a lot for a vinyl. Like, it is tough to find one that's at that price range.
Ooh, there it is.
Oh, that's beautiful.
That's awesome.
What is that, Janet? Did you say, what band is that?
Robin Trower.
Robin Trower.
Oh, wow.
I got to keep it tilted, otherwise you get the wind.
I know, yeah. We're seeing it pretty good, yeah.
Here, let me try this.
I love that artwork.
Yeah, this will be the start. I mean, maybe this will be our tradition with the comments. I think that would be fun to glance over some history, bring something in, and
A little better.
yeah.
It's almost like its own connecting icebreaker conversation. Like we pull out a vinyl and we talk about it for a minute.
Yeah, I kind of like
Why
that.
not? I've got a huge collection right there, and Jeff has a huge collection. That's actually pretty nice. I like that.
It fits the theme. I mean, we're gonna do a vinyl wall, so it's fitting. But
Vinyl wall.
Yeah, I'm excited to set up. We'll do categories for displays. Something very appealing about coming together over art, and I think that's one of the main appeals with podcasting, is the ability to approach silly subjects in a more formatted light. You can still make anything engageable as long as you work on trying your best to break down the components of it. What's the base element of what you're talking about? Okay, then this is why, like, it's like memes overall. Memes have this odd narrative about them, but that's still an art form that developed from some form of culture some people had, or some experience someone thought was so supremely funny that they shared it out in the algorithm of the internet.
Memes take to heart the whole, a picture is worth 1,000 words concept, especially if you put like a little caption with it. Kind of
Yeah.
the right direction of the way
you. My point in mentioning memes too is not to tangent us too far, because I'm aware of the topic that we're trying to dive into today. But I just say it as, if someone wants to bring something that is a form of like an old meme or something, that they want to screen share, bring to show, or someone wants to submit something like that, they're more than welcome to. As long as it's appropriate for a show, we'll screen share that and we could discuss over it. That's the beauty of doing a video format like this too, is we have a lot of power to connect with the audience. So as long as the opportunity's there, I would love to see what people's art taste is all about. I don't know about you guys. I definitely could learn a little bit more about art, though. There's too much out there.
You ready to hear
the
about
same
the
way.
fertilizer?
Yes. We're getting to fertilizer, Jeff. I was just about to get there. Oh, look at that. I was stalling just long enough.
All right.
Nice.
I see, Jeff. I have plans in my mind, and I felt the vibe of Elijah. I knew to pull through, man. What's up, homie?
What's
How
up,
are
guys?
you today?
How we do?
Oh, we're about to dive into today's topic about fertilizers.
Right on it.
If you look in the private chat,
Fertilizer and early year garden highlights. You guys picked my subject.
Yeah.
I got some history for you on fertilizer.
oh, no kidding. Is
No
this actually your subject?
Yeah, I could start it off. That way it'll bring us from the past into the present.
Before Jeff goes on a 30-minute sentence, we're going to talk about the sources of today. Is there anything that people want to refer to?
Well, why don't you let me start? I'll keep it short.
I'm just messing with you, Jeff.
Because it starts out natural and then moves into the world of chemicals today.
Yes, sir.
I'm down to hear what you have to start with. If the group is down for this, I'm more than happy to
I'm sure
let you.
The group will like it.
Yeah, we're gonna just roll in without any armor. We're just skipping straight to the trial ground.
I'm always armored up. Let's go.
Oh, yep. See, a man's prepared. We're set. Go for it, Jeff.
All right. Back hundreds of years ago, the British Navy was starting to colonize all over the world, and they had found out that animal manures work really well to help grow crops. And
No shit.
And their largest discovery was that bird manure, especially, was good at. They didn't have to use as much of it, say, as cattle manure. So they would go through all these different islands and all the different colonies that they were starting to make, and ship it by ships, sailing vessels, back to England or wherever they needed to fertilize them. So they would put it on the ships, but in the beginning, they just threw it down in the hold, and since it was crap, they would put it down in the bottom, so as the farthest away from anything else. But the holds on the ships would leak, and the manure would get wet, and then they would have a fire in the middle of their journey, because some of those journeys were months long. So it would burn basically the ship down in the middle of the ocean. So what they had to do was they came up with an idea of storing it above the water line in the hold so that it wouldn't get wet. It was still below decks, but it was above the water line. So even if it was really leaking, they'd still be able to keep it dry and fix their leaking hull. So they would label it to store high in transit. So basically, they would write this out on the sides of all these containers, whether it was palletized, I'm not sure exactly the form it took back then, but they would write this on each container to store it high in transit so that it didn't get wet from the bilge. So Red's got it. They quit. They got tired of writing it all the way out, so they abbreviated it to SHIT. And if they were hauling it to, say, one of their, the churches or a monastery, it would be holy shit.
Holy shit! Nice.
and that's where I'll leave that.
Well, I hold my bathroom sacred, so every day is a holy shit for me. So that's the old-timey fertilizing. You said you were going to bring us to the new.
Well, animal manure has been used for centuries to help grow crops. I just wanted to lead that with that because it was a little comedy mixed in. But
And that's no shit, right? That's very true.
It's true. Yeah.
The holy shit part. That's pretty cool.
Well, I made the holy part of, but
No, dang it.
I added that part later, But the whole rest of it is true. They would move it all over the place, and they would go to these bird colonies out in the Pacific, the South Pacific, and scrape the rocks of all the bird trap and haul it back to England.
That's the goods.
But really, the modern fertilizer is derived from oil. So once big oil started, they branched out into things like fertilizers and pharmaceuticals. Because pharmaceuticals are nothing more than chemicals. Well, that's about it for me. That drags us right into the new fertilizer world of chemicals.
Okay. No, that's interesting. And we're going to pause for a brief moment because Dank is actually going to join us as well, and his Canadian friend.
Okay.
All right.
He does not know much about fertilizer, so I want him to hear as much as possible. He's already told me about a plant reincarnation story. I don't know. So
That's great.
Dank might have some dank things to say.
That's good, Danky boy. Is that the Dank we play Apex with, Cameron? I have a Dank out that
I think that's a different Dank.
Okay.
And Apex, that game.
I just built a hummingbird this morning, and I've had the hummingbird visit twice already. The old one was kind of dirty and had bugs inside. I try to leave one up all winter long for the hummingbirds.
As far as fertilizer goes, obviously fish was a huge one that was discovered. As far as the history goes on that, I think I've read stories about the Aztec Empire in Central America. That area seemed to be doing the same thing, but I could be mistaken. That's something I was wondering if you guys know.
The South Americans were doing it with their 3 and 4 sisters. They would put a fish in the mound before they would plant anything on it. And the canned fish would feed the plants that were growing. The corn, the beans, the rice, or the corn, the beans, the squash, and sunflower seeds. They would plant sunflower for pollination and for food sources.
Well, the point I'm making though with it too, in this in this context is how they had networking from the central to the northern Americas. And of course it's speculative in some forms because we only have so much information passed along, but it's interesting to wonder how much they may have integrated agricultural tech like that between one another, or if they just relied on their minerals in their soil or their different temperance there.
Yeah, every place would be different on the mineral compounds.
Yeah. But it begs to question, like, begs to ask, what were they using in the Aztec Empire, for instance, and or even the Incas and Egyptians. You know, I think Egyptians may have used fish.
Yeah, the Nile would flood every year, and it would basically regenerate the nutrients that were in the soil along the Nile River.
Yeah, you know what? I think you're right that they just
Right on the floods would put more.
they just had the soils. Yeah,
I don't think they had a commercial fertilizer that they were using in Egypt.
it's crazy how much of a ambiguous subject that is between modern history of it and the past before us. Like, there's got to be ancient recorded history of fertilization. Like, there's no way that they didn't stick something in the ground accidentally and see that it grew better.
Yeah.
Even.
Well, you could look at it in a more anthropological way and think about the concept of the idea of making an offering to the earth, making an offering to the ground, and you can apply that to any, fill in the blank historical religion, and then that action feeds the crops literally. So it's like, it's not surprising that that idea would be deeply rooted in a lot of cultures of feeding crops with fertile food. So
Yeah, well, and just observing that the grass grows greener around where the animals shit, or where you shit as a tribe, say, in ancient times. I
Yeah.
think it's pretty naturally acquired knowledge to understand the process of fertilization for growing. Maybe not for like total Neanderthal man, but
oh yeah,
at some point it's got to catch on, and be a part of even probably making your tribe or area successful, so it's pretty holy knowledge, like you're saying.
Yeah, it's like the stonemason work, like,
yeah,
there has got to be some form of community to it that their sole purpose was, let's get this information out there.
right.
But there is also something to be said that I even just watched a video on this last night about just how violent people were when the agricultural transition from hunter-gatherer to agricultural developments began. And it was because these people started seeing that there was a reliable source of food, resources. Yeah, and
that's way easier than chasing an animal. Just keep these guys.
No, further out, because the violent element, it's that you have this resource too. Yeah. You're doing the same thing as me. So if I use my resources to take yours.
Okay.
So they had, like, I want to say something like 91% fatality around that time. Like, it was a really high fatality.
That's incredible.
It was a very brutal time where people just went. They just they went for the head a lot. There was like a discovery they found. It was the death pit in Germany, or something like that, where it doesn't look like the people got or running or something, or fighting back. Doesn't look like they were fighting back, but they got hit, and it was like something like 28 out of the 36, or no, it's like 36 out of the 39 all had head trauma.
It's like almost like a execution or something.
Yeah, they were all going for the head. So, and there was a lot of history on it where people didn't have younger skeletons or younger women in the finds of death. So they assume that was like part of the thing is, take the people or put them in slavery.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
So yeah, it started becoming very manipulative, let me put it that way. And at that point, they didn't trust each other. They built walls. That's why walls are a big thing in the ancient history, because they felt like it kept all these other people out. Again, it's a wall. It does what a wall does, but it's just not very different than the medieval times in the aspect of, well, mine's mine, yours is yours. A little less violent, a little more violent than some points of medieval times, but not all of it.
Well, there's the aspect also is that we don't have any food. You got these fields full, so we're just going to take it.
Well, and they're not going to share technologies in most cases willingly for that. And if they kill everyone in the village, they're not going to know what they were doing.
Right.
So
they got to take some people, yeah.
Oh, and it's the same thing with like the Dark Age. I shouldn't say that, but the thing that got changed, that was considered the Dark Age before early medieval period, it loss of information. Maybe that's the context that we're missing too from some of the Germanic and Celtic tribes, because again, those tribes excuse me, I'm saying this so bad. They most likely had a fertilizer, I would think, with how the fungus and stuff works in those forests. I don't know if they maybe learned that fungus could break down things a certain way and they would use that. I think these are just things that I'm hypothetically thinking with it.
Well, I don't think the mycology got into it until later.
Maybe not on purpose, but it's there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it was naturally in the soils to begin with. I don't think the discovery of introducing that to a planting was discovered until much later. The spores were everywhere anyway. They didn't really collect the spores and do that until last 100 years or so.
Well, I think that's an interesting segue to modern fertilizing, because in how we modern fertilize, we're cutting out the mycology, and that's causing or can cause huge problems, in our agricultural industry. It's pretty bad.
Yeah, we've been spraying poison on the soil for years and decades.
Yeah, well, there's the poison too, but the soil food web, it gets interrupted when we give it the already cracked out nitrogen, and we crack it out of the chemically crack it, and the nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, and everything else for that matter is all just going right to the root and up, and that's bypassing the whole mycology and bacterial system that is there, made by evolution. It's the basis for why we even exist here, and we're just like, yeah, fuck that shit. We're man, we can do better.
It's messed up.
Yeah.
Pesticides and the herbicides that just poison anything that's in the soil.
Yeah.
No, like there is evidence of genetic modification back in Babylonian period, but
that was
other than
selection. Modification is where.
Well, yes, that is a good point to put it.
Genetic selection, and it's different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's
semantics.
It's still a concept, though.
They're not firing a gene from a shrimp into a plant.
No.
Get an outcome of poison resistance is basically what the genetic modification is. You're taking genes from something that's not even a plant and putting it in a plant.
Mm-hmm.
Plant selection is different. It's taking plants that live together and will breed together and creating a new plant out of it.
But you've seen that hieroglyph of the DNA strands, have you not?
Say that again?
Have you seen the hieroglyph of the DNA strands?
The hieroglyph.
Yeah.
Of DNA strands.
Yeah.
Well,
The double helix.
I've seen the double helix, and what they'll do is they'll take CRISPR and snip out a piece and put something in from a different species, like a shrimp or a fish.
Yeah, I think we all understand what you're saying, Jeff. I think he's trying to make the connection of ancient knowledge to DNA structure, and that there may be a possibility of a similar technology existing prior and outside of our current knowledge. Am I correct, Cameron?
Yeah, no, there's a image right in here. I'm trying to find this. Let's see here. Yeah, I don't know. I swear there was one before that I've seen, but otherwise, this is the one I could find.
So
it's interesting.
Yeah,
the animation parts are just correlations to the actual hieroglyph in the middle, right? Yeah.
The two snakes.
Yeah, this is a hermetic representation. This comes up in a lot of different places.
Yep.
And can be correlated to the DNA helix, but it also has a lot to do with spiritual ascension, chakras, and other things. It's very interesting.
It is interesting. I always find it interesting that it's snakes too, like most times represented. Even the barber pole is essentially, and I know that's different. That's red rags, but still, in a theory, still a spinning, spiraling helix. Like,
what's fun for me is the visualization of how the Earth is moving through space makes this same spiral. I don't know why when I saw that, it tickled in my head.
Sort of a cosmic connection.
Yeah, the fractal of things. When I was in my spiritual awakening, that sine wave pattern was very significant, and then the intersecting sine wave, and then turning that sideways and looking at is very interesting. It's led me down the rabbit hole into string theory and whatnot, and all sorts of things.
Yeah, string theories. String theory is an interesting one.
Yeah,
I still have to learn more about it to be able to really even just talk on it. But
for sure.
Yeah. No, and once we get into that realm, it really just starts to get interesting. Or the fact that we're still trying to fully, understand, a graviton, like if there can be a particle to represent gravity as a force. It's hard to even still quantify where gravity fits into the space-time theory. It's hard to even make those two things come together still.
Yeah,
that's what gets really interesting to me.
It's definitely meeting the what is it? The etherical, the mythological, or what? It goes into that realm at that point. You're like, oh shit, this is like magic, bro.
Yeah, that's when the science starts to it becomes this almost theological realm where we're in this, like, we're trying to comprehend something that is so far above where we are as a tiny blue speck.
Yep.
And
it's like we have to develop new lenses for us to absorb and understand the info coming in.
Yeah, that's the mind expanding feeling of science that I like to latch on to.
Nice.
Of just trying to connect to something that humans have been trying to connect to for centuries and getting closer and closer and closer to.
Yeah.
Of trying to fully understand the true scope of the universe around us.
The nature of things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
the why. These
the
crazy
why,
ass
the
humans
how.
always asking why.
Yeah, the where.
Yeah, I have this visualization in my head where, we as humanity and what we call science and known knowledge is standing on this little tiny precipice at the edge of a cliff, and everything behind us is what we know, but the expanse outside of it just makes it look like a pinpoint, and we're over here like, trust the
Yeah.
science, you know, and all this.
I
And,
know.
like,
Yeah, I have so much faith in science itself too, of that it's like there's a lots of things that I take to heart in science that I can't physically prove within, within my lifetime, within my
sure.
scope of what I'm doing, but that I believe because I trust the logic and trust the theories.
Right.
But yeah.
Well, it's like science is like this paradox of like you constantly have to actually never get lost in fully believing what you've figured out and calling it a solid fact, because science itself is, you know, that
It can always
exploration.
change.
Yeah, it can always change. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know,
Science
we
cannot
gotta
be
be careful with
rigid, or
that.
else it's not science, it's rhetoric.
Totally. Yeah, I like that. I like that. Are you still looking for that, Cameron? What you were looking for earlier? I can't hear you.
I'm sorry. I was trying to tell Dank I muted him
Oh,
because there's a lot of background noise. And
no
then
worries.
also, I was still trying to look for it, but I couldn't find it.
Gotcha.
But I'll look back into it again at a later point.
Cool.
It's essentially ancient Samaria, or one of those like Mesopotamian cultures that supposedly was genetically modifying, or something to that form.
Well, and I wanted to add my theory on genetic modification. You know, I mean, I totally understand Jeff's description of CRISPR and everything. I actually look into that a lot, and it's very interesting to me, as well as scary. But I think anytime we impose ourselves as humans, especially on plants, or on plants, and take them into our world of our why and awareness, and in our, you know, the way we are, we're not like animals treat plants. We're like humans treat plants. Anyways, we're genetically modifying in a way just by the imprintation of our energy. So modifying the DNA strand on the energetic level, which I firmly believe in. You know, there's science behind that. It's genetic expression, you know, is in ways determined by the environment around it. So that plucked up in my head, you know, along with the selective farming, we're imprinting ourselves onto it. And I've had some experience of that myself in my own farming, and experiencing other people's products and stuff, and in having an experience of their imprintation on the product. It might be the same strain we're growing, but there's a difference that's put there by the energy of the shepherd, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that it's hard to know in our context, or from our perspectives in the modern day, because of how many generations of humanity have passed, and how we've, instinctually held on to these genetic things along the way, especially like different resistances or different forms of living that we're used to that justify our food sources. So it's hard to know exactly how those things would change and coexist with one another in the context of what we're doing nowadays, which is, composting and these different tactics that we know about. But it's hard to know if people were really thinking about the quality of the soil around them, because maybe the world just in general had so much quality soil that they just move. Moving was just such a viable tactic. I mean, the Sahara was a jungle at a point. It was definitely a different world. Not saying that was as recent of times that the Sahara was that way, but still, there are hidden nutrients in all these crevices of the planet. Like even Antarctica is full of quite a bit of stuff underneath.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, well, Antarctica, yeah, it used to be green. There was a time, there have been many times throughout the planet's history when Antarctica is, more of a used to be more of a lush forest, jungled and grasslanded continent, but because of the current climate, it's currently frozen at the poles. But that was how that was how the marsupial animals traveled from South America. They traveled down through Antarctica when it was green, and then that's how they got to Australia. And so that's why Australia, because it's a sort of an isolated continent, is one of the last holdouts where marsupials still dominate the ecosystem. And that's why in North America, there's only a sparse amount of marsupial animals in South America, and there's only, I think, one, maybe two, I'm pretty sure, but just one marsupial animal in North America, because it's an unkillable animal, the possum.
Yeah.
I think possum inheriting the Earth is underrated in nuclear fallout.
There it
Dude,
is.
those things are ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the only thing that can kill them is the tire of an SUV. Like, I swear.
Rise of the possum people.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Planet of the possums.
Oh, I remember getting one when we were living in Georgia.
Yeah, sorry about that tangent. Yeah.
Now we all got to tell our possum story.
Oh yeah, no, you're gonna hear the possum story. We had to call the neighbor over because there was a possum in our lawnmower. Like it crawled into the tube and it was staying in the tube, and we had the cats in there, and they were like, and we're like, what's going on? And yeah, the possum snuck its way in through the garage and got into the tube and was like there for a day. And I thought it was a cat at first. It was going, but yeah, the Georgian neighbor just came over. He's like, oh, that possum just pull it out. Or he's like, oh, get the broom ready.
Get the broom ready.
Yeah, no, that was a. They are very.
Once. Those things got some pretty sharp teeth.
Well, they're pretty smart too.
Yeah.
They have an insane number of teeth. They have somewhere around, I think I would have to look up the exact number, but it's somewhere around like 52 teeth or something like that. They have.
I think it is 52.
I think it is. It's like almost the highest number of. I think it might be the highest number of teeth in a mammal, like that a mammal can have, like in its mouth. They're a weird evolutionary holdout of from when mammals used to look differently and used to be different. Because they just are so unstoppable, because they can also have their litter size is enormous too. Like the amount of babies that a possum can have is enormous. And then,
you know what they remind me of is like a badger.
Yeah.
You know, like
badgers. We don't need no stinking badgers.
Badgers are great. Badgers are so funny.
Honey badger don't give a fuck.
No, sure as heck doesn't.
I saw a badger swimming in Cochrane Pond up in the where is that? The up in the Tillamook Forest.
Nice.
Oh yeah, no, it was just swimming. I was like, "Whoa, badger!"
Chilling.
Yeah,
just chilling.
My dog was oblivious.
You're like, I'm gonna go the other way.
Yeah, I was like, I don't want to see that transpire. I don't need that right now.
Oh, let's see here.
Badgers are a part of the muskrat family. Is that? I think that's
Hey, real fast to get us back on topic too. So, Dink,
we're talking about possums.
No, I know. But Dink, you said your friend is trying to respond. We didn't hear anything he was saying, brother.
Oh yeah, no, that's because we were muted. Because I had the audio coming through my TV. My mic's picking that up. My headset pick up the dots.
Yeah, you're all good now.
Yeah, he was just saying stuff earlier. I don't remember what it was now.
I was talking about the light slit test. Basically, it's the placebo effect, but outside the body, and you can technically alter reality, or believe you can alter reality, but only if everybody involved believes it too.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah, like the light slit test was interesting. If you're staring at it and there's nobody else involved, it's 3 slits and they shoot light through it, a light sensitive paper, and you'll see 3 slits on the other side, basically, little couple other pieces hitting around. But if nobody's looking, you'll get like 5 slits, basically, out of the same test. And it's only because nobody's looking and nobody's around to experience it, you get a different result.
You're saying like 5 slits?
Yeah, as on the light sensitive paper. There's 3 slit holes in a blocking material. They shine
Gotcha.
a light, there's light sensitive paper. And then you'll actually get multiple different angles, but only if there's nobody watching.
It's the double slit wave experiment.
Yeah.
So if you're sending light waves or water waves or anything towards two open slits and everything else is not open, as the waves go through, they're going to disperse in such a way. Well, when you're watching and they disperse and you see 3, when they don't, you see 2, something to that effect. So
is that our brain tells us that there should only be 3 slits, but then when there's no one to experience it, it's that our brain doesn't really tell us that or something.
Well, the theory is in reverse, is that we're having the effect on it because we are generators. We are the creators of the reality around us.
Yeah,
And referring more to the energetic soul, not necessarily the body. We're also spawning the body.
That's necessarily just the energy, but it's also the meaning behind the energy.
The meaning behind it, yeah.
No, that makes sense.
It's pretty rad. I like what you brought that up.
That is cool.
That discussion there, that experiment, what they did is they took people out of it and put a sensor in there that would be able to notice. And they found out that when they activated that sensor to watch it, it changed.
Yeah, and the sensor picked up a different reading too when we watched. It wasn't just an observation of our mind, like you were saying, Chad. It's wild. Like, this is the Matrix kind of proof shit. It's nuts.
Yes, that is.
It's just hacking with your mind.
I think it's interesting also to see how, gong farmers worked. So certain cultures must have used their own excrement to plant with. Yeah, I wonder if that was an old practice too.
I've been thinking about that for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, like, who hasn't thought about pooping in a hole and planting with it? I mean, let's be real.
We call it
idea or premise is growing up, like, oh yeah, maybe that would work. But then you think about, like, again, you are what you eat. And
the problem is parasites and whatnot.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not good.
But it's doable.
Herbivore, not a carnivore.
It is doable, but it's just a very interesting dynamic to think think
Yeah, I bet it may have even just happened on accident too, if they didn't do it on purpose. Because way back they shit everywhere anyway. So
well, in desperation, you're in a siege or something, and
right,
like, who knows?
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you're just trampling around in your own poo, anyways, that's where you got to grow the food. I mean, it's just happening.
It's probably how it indirectly happens. Yeah.
Sure. Right.
Before we buried it, we just shit anywhere.
Yeah.
I shit in a nice orderly line every day. Just one over each time.
It's actually how they told time in the ancient days. They just have that was yesterday. Corn was Wednesday.
Oh my gosh. Now, you want to know something that's very interesting is
I have my own flavor.
oh, where was this? It's
I would have
city
a rock myself.
a rock.
Yeah, my favorite rock to shit.
Oh, you'd pick a rock.
Once you find the comfortable rock.
Like a rock.
Oh my gosh.
Had the poop inside of me.
Enjoy that.
Yeah, so there was this city in the southern part of Spain. Hispania at that time, and it had been one of the last holdouts of Islamic culture there that was unable to be taken easily because they had extensive waterworks built into that city. And again, it's interesting to ponder what they were using in that city during the time of those sieges and stuff, to keep their populace fed, because they had run basically an aqueduct all the way down the hill, and they took that water pressure, and they filled it up into a tank, and were able to run that tank down and pressurize all that water and all the lines going into the city. And they had fountains in there that they had they basically made like this, if you can think about it in the context of a sink. They made this sink that had different holes the water level would hit the certain precisely measured hole
and not overflow.
And it would flow into
and then go to the next
those
place.
holes, but every hole was an hour apart, so it would tell the time of a 12-hour day. And then at the last moment when it filled up all the way, it would reach a siphon, and it was like the what is that, Faraday's cup, or I might be saying it wrong, but I think it's Prometheus cup. It's that cup that has the holes on the side, though, and it's the greedy cup, basically. Another form of nickname for it. But you get to a certain point, if you fill it too high, the water tension pulls everything through, and you lose all the liquid out the bottom. So that's the same technology that they used, and it would reset the clock naturally just with water flow.
Interesting.
So if they're doing stuff like that, like, I wonder what their system was for irrigation.
So I'm looking at the Prometheus cup right now. This is really neat.
Yeah, it is a Prometheus cup, isn't it?
Yeah, and it looks like there's a valve over the drain at the bottom that has air trapped in it, and as the water level goes up, it pulls this little cap.
You want to pull it up?
Just type in Prometheus cup. I'm not sure how to do it.
Oh, you're fine. I was just letting you know you can screen share too.
Right. Oh, right. I just haven't done it yet.
It's super easy. You just hit the button and then select the tab you're on. Cup.
Oh, I see.
I'm pulling it up too. Oh, I think it's
Oh, you got to approve it anyway, so you go ahead.
Oh, I have to approve it? I didn't know that.
You were telling me you had to approve the screen shares.
I think what I meant by that was don't screen share something randomly, like super off course. I'm not getting a prompt. Let me put it that way.
Okay.
And I probably said it because I didn't want us to just talk over each other.
Mm-hmm.
So I was saying type it in so I know how to introduce it to the audience.
Gotcha.
When I say stuff like that, it's mostly from an editorial stance. Don't take it personal.
Oh, no, just...
No, I'm not saying it like that. But like in the format things, I want you guys to be able to basically host as you're here. I've tried to stress that a lot of times. You guys are guests, like properly former guests, like
co-host. Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah, it's a Pythagorean cup. Yeah,
it's Pythagorean. Oh, it is. I typed in Prometheus, but it came up with Pythagorean. Look at that.
Just wanted to make sure.
That's a neat idea.
No, I know.
Such a neat idea.
It's tough to. Here, I'll just pull it up. Yeah.
Oh, I was misinterpreting it then.
Yeah, this is the way it works. You get to that certain point in the middle, and
it and then
yeah,
the actual extra weight of the water starts it pushing, and then you're siphoning.
Yep.
But then it stops once it gets down so far.
Yeah, once you get down to your certain bottom there, well, actually, it'll suck it all out completely. Yeah. Technically,
once it sucks,
it doesn't stop.
Oh, the way it's shaped, yeah.
Yep.
But as the level rises in the large vessel, it pushes the air out of the small tube to the point where it creates the siphon.
Right.
Once it
starts falling.
It's really interesting. Let me pull this off. Yeah, if I can find this fountain. Here it is. Islamic fountain. It still works too to this day, by the way. All this waterworks still works there.
And so we're talking about the way they plumbed this in was with masonry pipes, right? Like they made the pipe masonry.
They routed the pipes all the way to this city,
but it's like we was just smashing rocks together, right? Like they didn't.
What do you mean by smashing rocks together?
I mean, like, or drilling holes. It wasn't like lead pipes, you know what I mean, right?
There was probably clay pipes that they ran underneath. Yeah, it wasn't anything like metal.
I guess clay.
Yeah, it's not like cast iron, but I believe it is hard clay. Because, I mean, Hispania has that kind of stuff, too.
Okay.
They were mixing cement back then, too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. So, I mean, there was options.
It's really
but this is, they would root it and it'd come out the center. And then, yeah, these were the holes. They had
this is a top-down view.
Yeah, this is a top-down view.
And so, that's so cool.
Yeah, and once it hits that top, it's 12. So if all 12 of them are on, it's 12 o'clock.
And then it drains.
Yeah, and then it drains and it goes through the whole cycle again.
So cool.
It's such a smart innovation. And yeah, there it is.
And what's the time period here?
1300s.
Okay.
Yeah, like Granada. That's right, Granada. I'll show you the image of Granada.
1492, when Columbus left. I heard a rumor that Columbus, the Knights Templar, were on the Nina Pinta and Santa Maria, which was original Illuminati.
Here's a picture. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, and this is kind of a tangent, but at the same time, it's really showing what you can expect from the cultures that we're talking about, and highlighting the different technologies that brought us to where we are today with mass agriculture and efforts. Because this is a lot of effort to make a water system in a city. You can see this is how it looks. And then this is how they rooted it, like all back in here, came up, and there's like a tank back in there, and that tank runs it all down into the city.
That's incredible.
There's like 36 or something like that, different unique fountains or something, and they're all pressured. All pressured.
I wonder if they had flush toilets.
And this is how far they rooted it. That was the river. Brought it all the way down here.
Nice.
So that's a long ways. And yeah, toilets would be an interesting one there. But this is I remember too.
This is a pump?
There was a pump there, yes. Barrels. That was one of the ways they did it.
That's so rad.
It's so cool, right?
Yeah, that's awesome.
All those gears and shit were housed too, right? Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
It was all inside. Underground.
there. Oh yeah, you can see the actual bowl right there.
Sick.
And then yeah, that's the pipe work they had implemented for it.
Jeez.
And they have a special. I don't know if they get into it right here.
It looks like they just drilled holes instead of put pipes in it.
Well, I mean, they did have pipes too, though. You can see it right here, on the outside. That's one of the holes, so it would go in, and then they had pipes going out into the fountains.
A little higher up, though, it said they drilled the holes precisely.
That doesn't mean they didn't use pipes, though.
Just means where there was a hole, they drilled it precisely, meaning they had drills.
Where
way of drilling.
Yeah, where did you see these holes were carefully calculated to contain the exact same volume between all of them? It's just 1 hour to reach the next hole. Yeah, that's just saying the 1 hour thing. And then, well, I mean, let's look up here. Let's see. The engineers.
Alhambra.
Well, that's the aqueduct to get the water there.
Yeah, and that's not fancy because it's just aqueduct, so it'd be in the pressurizing.
I'm trying to figure out where were pipes put into the bowl material, or where is it just holes drilled in the bowl?
And over an ancient aqueduct into the palace. So
On the aqueduct.
water was split off. Channels. So it looks like channels is how they mostly did it. Pressurized channels, which is pretty much piping.
Right.
For the most part.
A formed pipe.
Yes.
I was guessing it was, if they're going to pour concrete, it would be something that was either installed before the pour, or it was core drilled out afterward. I mean,
that's a tough one to say.
That'd be an interesting thing to look into, because it.
Well, you can see here, this is another good example. So, because they had this thermal bath, they had basically, I mean, this is after Rome died out. So, bathing houses were definitely a thing. And I mean, not to say they weren't before Rome, but point being, this method of heating was definitely like a Roman design, big time. So, or maybe I'm mistaken, but at least the Romans also had a similar design. This isn't exactly par for par. I should correct myself.
They got pretty masterful with it.
But yeah, they really did. But this is very similar in the form that the water would cool and it would still be warm, but it would go into the cooling pool. And then it would warm this floor. So this would be a heated floor. And then again, the walls were warmed. This was like the entrance, the actual cool room. And that fed into here. But then this is their steam room. And they did that by letting out steam through pipelines in this wall. And yeah, that's how they were able to actually get it steamed up. But this was the one I found was really interesting. Because this is how they got water uphill in the place, because this was like a very specific instance. So once it reached the western portion of the palace, this where they lived, it was built slightly higher than the rest of the palace, so they had to make 6 meters, which is a good climb.
Yeah.
To reach it. So they saw how so this was a special device that didn't require water wheels, and essentially it would flow in the container with a hole at the bottom leading down. The whirlpool, so it created a whirlpool, and the whirlpool would pull in that air, and it would increase the buoyancy that the water would travel up the line.
It made an air pump.
Yeah, that basically made an air pump.
That's awesome.
Isn't that crazy?
It's called, what's it called? An air elevator pump. The air bubbling up the tube pulls the water with it.
Yeah, and it makes it a low pressure zone.
Yeah.
Yeah. The vortex. Exactly.
That's so
awesome.
cool. I have to make one of those now. I have to make one.
So cool, right? Yeah. Yeah, and yeah, that blew my mind that they did that one.
That's I want to make a what they call it, natural swim pond one day when I have the money to really do it right, and that's how I'm going to pump the water continually, without having to put mechanical pumps on, underground or in there that I have to service. I'm just going to have air elevator pumps.
Yeah, if you get enough of an angle, like you engineer it correctly.
Yeah, it's low volume, but it's constant always, and it's low power cost. And well, it's high. You can do high volume, but low pressure. That's right.
Yeah, and that's interesting that it's a low pressure zone too, because you'd think high pressure would force it up, right? But it in my mind, I guess
would just faster. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So the both options are still a pressure. Yeah, it's still pressurizing it. Yeah.
As long as you're getting the water up there and it's constant, you're stoked. Can you imagine back then? They're just like
6 meters too, man. I mean, what,
dude?
A meter's
18 feet.
6
meters, 18 feet, 3 feet in a meter.
Yeah, you are right. Excuse me, because meter stick. Yeah. 18 feet, man.
That's incredible. That is
incredible.
I mean, my well pump pushing up, let's say 50 feet, I notice a very, noticeable decrease in the pressure it can put up there, and that's a high power pump. So that's wild.
That is crazy. Mm-hmm. Man, let's see. Actually, Granada. I'm gonna look at their toilet system.
I mean, are you gonna get results for like Grenada, which is a place in South America? I'm pretty sure. Careful, Cameron. He's like
Yeah, no, I'm gonna look at
all they had. Really interesting plumbing.
Yeah, I was gonna say
they had PVC.
You might just be looking at a couple of Central American toilets there. I mean,
yes, there are toilets outside of the. Well, no, okay. Yeah, heated baths. It's not looking like they had a toilet system. They must have. They must have. Or maybe what they did, because I bet they thought about this, especially with their sieges and stuff, and that late in the period of time. They must have just used the water that flowed naturally in and was just like collected from one of the fountains or something.
There's a lot of examples of channel trough toilets where just like you're saying, exactly. It would just run off, constantly running, just plop in it,
It's probably just nothing fancy. It's probably just standard medieval trough toilet. I mean,
put your ass over the side.
Exactly.
Just dip in a little bit after, get a little bidet action, wash it off.
Oh, man. Could you imagine being on a medieval castle? Just you're cracked to the wind, like on a cliffside?
Dude. Then you grab the community wiper tool,
Oh man, dude!
Watcheth what come hither from above.
Exactly,
dude. Yeah.
How do you say that in Spanish?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no. We, I think, covered quite a bit on the context we have for fertilization without like deep
Well, okay, I'm looking at early year garden highlights. So we didn't go into that much.
No,
So
let's go for it.
little my throw in there is right now is a good time to throw in your onions and your garlics.
If they're not
You
already
know, we're talking early year, and start putting in to prep your soil, putting in your organic, putting in your compost, giving it time to work in.
Yeah, stuff that doesn't break down very fast, like
Yep.
calcium.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's just
I use a product called Kelzyme here, and it's basically mined calcium from Nevada,
nice.
and it's a kelp. It was deposited kelp over centuries that has been
Calcified.
up in the air in Nevada, and they're mining it for a garden supplement.
And they shave it into a dust.
It's a
That's
dust,
awesome.
yeah, super
Nice.
fine powder. Super
Nice. Yeah, I use what is it? Oh gosh, I'm gonna blank. It's made from oyster shell. And there was a I can't remember what it was, but it affected the harvesting of oyster shell. It had to do with some sort of law, something. For a whole year, they couldn't harvest this oyster shell properly, and it really messed up a good bit of the industry as far as calcium goes. And people were running for other alternatives, but it gets expensive really quick.
chicken farms use a lot of oyster shell.
Yeah. Yep. It's heavily dependent on oyster shell. So it was crazy how all of a sudden oyster shell was gold. And I always buy way more than I need. So I was okay, but I wasn't able to stay stocked up ahead. And more than a few people are like, hey, can I get some of that oyster shell? But yeah, calcium's big.
Yeah, give me a baggie. We'll meet out.
Give me a baggie. My tomatoes are cracking. The skin's starting to crack.
I got the blossom rot.
You got the blossom rot. Give me some of that calcium. Yeah.
I got the blossom rot. Hit me out, brother.
For real. I got you, bro. I got you.
Yeah. Basically, the things on my I haven't got my garlic in yet, so I need to put that in the ground. And best time to do that is after the full moon.
Yeah.
Ground veggies.
Planting time. Water comes up.
See, the leaf vegetables and above ground crops you plant as the moon gets full because the water's coming up.
Okay.
And then you plant your below ground crops after the full moon because the water's
starts to go down. Okay.
Interesting. I didn't realize that's why the moon played a big part too, is because of the pull on the water.
Just like the tide.
Yeah. Oh, it makes sense.
That is really cool.
I have a link to the cycles of the moon. You can tune it into your own time zone.
Oh, nice.
Here, let me throw the moon calendar by AstroSeek. Let me put a link in the chat there.
Hey, is someone thudding their mic right now?
Mr. Dank.
No, it's not Dank. I just muted him for a second. I think it's Conestoga, man.
Yeah, every time I tap my keypad, you probably hear it.
Is it Conestoga, man, or is it Constagram? Oh, dude, I kept seeing Constagram.
Oh my god!
I'm over here imagining cones, dude.
The cone man off Instagram. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, that's so funny.
Conestoga.
I got it.
As in Conestoga wagon, because I have one.
Too bad, buddy. It's gonna be Constagram from now on for me.
Constagram, man.
What's up, Coney? Oh god.
Chad knows his cones.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That much.
Nice.
Yeah.
No, those cones are in. They're nice.
Oh man. Well, Dank, are you with us still?
He's all yes, but you can't hear me.
Does our Canadian guest have anything to input on today's subject?
Net.
Yes.
9.
I have 9 opinions.
I have 9 opinions. All
There's
9 of
nothing to add, eh?
them.
Eh?
Eh?
Yeah,
What's that, eh?
If we say eh enough, he'll wake up. Eh?
Wait. Sorry.
Hey, how about the hockey game, eh?
Like seagulls.
Oh, man.
Sorry
So,
about these guys.
Sorry. Story.
So sorry.
Sorry.
No,
How we fight too. You just punch them and say sorry. Sorry about that.
Oh, sorry. I'm going to apologize.
well, I think, is there anything in Breakpoint Heights today that we have? Any highlighting points that really are staple fertilizer things?
Monsanto bad.
Monsanto bad, yes.
Yeah.
Natural fertilization good.
I think, the Three Sisters fertilization, the rotating, just naturally rotating crops is one of the biggest technological advances and probably determined. So, agriculturally,
Yeah.
because that one's definitely pretty old. So, if anything, at the very least, that is a highlight to be had, I would think.
They shouldn't be taking seeds.
Like you were saying, the pull of the moon, moon cycles, timing things out right, taking into account the environment around you. All those are factors.
The importance of shit.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
It's definitely a highlight.
Sure.
The highlight.
It can be accepted in this one.
Well, I mean, in the sense of not.
To edit out.
I mean, in the sense of not burning down ships. It's the abbreviation.
Yes. But
Store high and
yeah. Anyone else have anything else to add? Because I'm trying to move us on to the next phase.
Yeah.
Okay. Well then, diving depths. Is there anything that you guys pulled from today that you want to take with you?
It's nice to reflect on the historical and cultural relevance of agriculture. It's been so important throughout so much of history and so much of history to come. So it's really interesting to hear it from everyone's perspective and just talk about some of the different technologies that have been gleaned from it, whether it's irrigation, movement of water, but like just the significance that it's played and stuff that we've taken from it from history for years. It's really interesting.
Yeah. I think for me it's got to be the connection, to how many people that don't know about this stuff, the types of history that does fall through the cracks, things that aren't as prevalent in today's age because we're so used to the grocery store, going into the supermarket and having access. Not every meal is a struggle. Let's put it that way. A physical fight to gain that food in front of you.
Yeah.
So
big disconnect.
It's cultural its cultural relevance has stepped out of the forefront of modern society, because in ancient society it was at the forefront because that was where all the food came from. Now we've made a shift, so it's kind of interesting to see that too, of where it's like, in the future, growing food will only become more important. Maybe it should be more thought on, more. I don't know. It's interesting.
If it
I should certainly
collapses,
think about it more.
Yeah, we should. It's prevalent on my mind. If the system collapses, it's one of the big factors that's going to equal to dying off of people is the people who are so disconnected from the ability to grow their own food. If the centralized agriculture system stops, that's going to be why a lot of them die.
Yeah.
Not to laugh about that.
No. Something that just reminded me, or that I was thinking about, on the coasts of Oregon, there's tribes that used to break the mussels and the shells and grind those.
Oh, for fertilizing the calcium.
I believe that they would use that for fertilizing. They would spread the shells. So that's also.
They would trade with other tribes. They would trade because they would use the abalone and the oysters and the mussels for not only fertilizer but for
currency.
Yeah,
ornaments and currency.
Hey Jeff, you're sounding really quiet too. I don't know if you.
Quiet.
Yeah, you sound very quiet.
Like your mic fell down or something.
No, it's in the computer, in my laptop. In the bottom.
I'm gonna
cleaner link to that.
I'm gonna bring you a headset. Bring you a headset, dude.
Yeah.
I'm so, for my own sake, for the editing quality of the show, I'm gonna bring you a headset so we can stop having audio issues in the middle of this. It helps me have sanity. I'm not kidding.
We'll crowdfund him.
Every single episode I've had pops and look, I'm gonna mute Jeff right now.
Oh wow, yeah, that is.
And then I'm gonna mute Dank and Jeff.
It's like it's.
I
didn't even know how much.
No, dude, it kills you. You guys are so loud, dude. You don't even know. I'm like, you guys
when
are
you're
like
looking at all the meters and everything on your screen. I bet it's.
Oh, it kills me. I can't. Yeah. No, not to shame you. I just
Anyway.
Didn't know why you were so quiet. That was the real reason I was trying to deduce it. I think we're ready to move into your point, Jeff. What was your highlight?
Well, it's the human culture has used fertilizers, animal fertilizers, for a long time. The getting back to that away from the chemical fertilizers, I think, is a good thing. That people are starting to realize that the chemical fertilizers aren't as good as they were sold.
We're slow salting the land.
Exactly.
Braun does have what plants crave.
Brondo, it's what plants crave. Jesus Christ, think. Brought to you by Carl's Jr.
That just makes me think of, what did you send me even in the DMs earlier, Dank? You said, a fun story about reincarnation that was proved by her knowing what plants were planted at her house in ancient Egypt, though. Lol.
Oh.
I was like, what? Did you try to? What were you trying to say there?
Dude, I'm into that. He linked it to agriculture. Dude.
I have to know. Yeah,
legit.
What is that link you were trying to make there?
Is it a regression story?
It's like this kid died, and then they saved her, and she came back. She was legally dead for a couple minutes, and when she came back, she was saying she wants to go home, and that her mom wasn't her mom. And that she's from Egypt, and it was all her life she kept saying that. Her parents were like, no, but it made her go into Egyptology, and she went there and she was saying this is where this is my home when she found it, and she's like, we had this growing here and this growing here and whatever going up, and when they dug it up and everything, they found fossilized seeds of everything she said.
Yeah, I do remember hearing about something like that long while back, actually. Yeah. No, that is a really fascinating story. What's interesting is my mom actually used to have dreams about cats in ancient Egypt.
Wow.
And she'd talk about that all the time, and she got shunned in my family for it. And, they didn't like that kind of talk in the Christian aspect. So they shamed it. And I've always had very very vivid dreams when I'm in that state of mind to do so. I always think that's interesting, and it's not like I'm the only one talking about it either. There's a lot of really brilliant, I'd call it brilliant individuals out there that talk about the dreamscape, and learning things, actually doing things in a conscious state, a conscious form, at least.
I am Dreamwalker.
I believe wholeheartedly in the power behind it, because I mean, the experiences I've had, I've literally felt a physical state of change, a state of mind, like I'm on a psychedelic experience in a dream state, just from my own self-conscious anxiety.
Right. Well, it goes back to what Mr. Canadian was talking about, to how we're if you're manifesting your reality, if you take that as true, then the changes that happen inside your dreamscape, inside your subconscious, and the connection to the all is going to transfer out into your life, if it sticks. That's the thing, is I think the more connected you are to yourself, the more conscious you are, the more vivid dreams you have, and the more ability you have to navigate your subconscious, which is your subroutine for life. That's what's creating everything.
Well, that's why I like these agricultural subjects. I may not know a whole bunch about it, but I learn a little bit each time, or it ingrains it a little bit more. And then seeing you guys so passionate about it, especially fuels it, because, I'm sure you both can agree, or I'm sure all of us in the forum can agree, that it feels healthy to feel integrated with nature.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Plant a tree for your tomorrow.
Yeah, it's kind of something that I need to get back into too. Just probably once the weather gets a little better, just to where things are just less difficult daily. Get out, do some fishing.
Ooh, yeah.
And look for rocks. Rocks are cool.
Rocks are cool.
Yeah, that's why we need Carl here. Carl is still not up too, man. He's still past 10:30. Carl. So that leads us into Elijah's. Do you have a highlight for us? A diving depth, my friend.
Processing.
Dank, you're also included in this, and your friend as well, if they have a diving depth.
I mean, one of the highlights that I want to press and repress is our need to move away from, man-made salt-based and fertilizers. It could be one of our next extinction events. It's that important. It's really a big deal.
Yeah.
We gotta let the plants grow their own seeds.
Grow their own seeds instead of getting in the way. You're right. That could be another hinge point.
Yeah, wild seeds are a thing. Like wild specimens, there's certain areas that they do not let genetic modification touch, due to the chance of irreparably damaging that evolutionary cycle. Yeah. Irrevocably.
There's a lot of that going on in South America right now.
Yep. Yeah, that's a really prevalent place that it has happened.
It is good that there are warriors out there working on this, and in a very real way.
Yeah. No, those are the kinds of wars that I want to fight. I don't, but I do. Well,
I mean, it's just the war of going outside and planting some plants and continuing the system right there where you doing what you can. It's huge in that way, I think.
Yeah. Take back what's ours.
Your own seeds from your own plants at the end of each year too.
Yeah. Yep.
Dedicating a portion of that harvest to growing the next year's harvest.
Yeah, I love that about my beans, when I grow the beans and then just hold on to just this much, and I'm like, this is gonna make all that again. It's so fun.
Yeah. I got bananas in my living room right now.
Nice.
Yeah, very nice.
They give me a comfortable feeling to be around. I had them down in my house in the Sacramento area. I got the coldest varieties I possibly could. There's a couple of them that are edibles.
I've seen that. I've been meaning to get the kind of smaller ones, right?
Yeah, the dwarf Orinoco is one of
Okay.
them that's really cold tolerant. They have one called a goldfinger, which is a sport of a dwarf Orinoco that's been growing down in the river, Rio Grande Valley down in Texas.
Nice.
And has withstood some major storms and stuff like that. So I was growing those successfully in Sacramento. I had 6 or 7 different kinds.
Oh, Sacramento's such a sweet place to grow fruit.
It's so nice. So it was. I still had enough freezes sometimes to wipe them out because they're just full of water. It's 90% water. So
they just pop.
It tears itself apart.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen that before.
So I've got to come up with some kind of container that's big enough that I can roll it into the garage in the wintertime and just let them be dormant, and then roll them back out in the spring.
Just dig a giant hole and just have them recess down into the hole. Geothermal protection.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, I remember seeing eggplants like a lot for that reason, because they're so resistant. But they'll still get cold, man, if you mess up, and like they really hard freeze.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll just break the cells of the plant.
Yeah, they pop.
Yeah, and then they're dog food. And a happy pit bull comes in.
I don't think Rosie's gonna be eating it.
No. Yeah, Dank, did you have a highlight?
No.
No.
No, nothing you found interesting in the conversation?
No, it was all pretty good. I liked it.
General like. I'll take the general Facebook like.
Just throws up a high five.
Yeah.
It's good.
We'll go ahead and we'll move into a reflection retreat, and we'll go ahead and say, is there anything you guys want to see in the future episodes? Anything to dive back into the
there was
the art context, or what we were kind of discussing at the beginning of the show, and today, like your general feelings of today. I enjoyed it. I think we do pretty decent with free-form discussions. I think today was pretty good on tangents. Yeah,
there were good tangents.
Good tangents, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's our goal.
I'd like to revisit aqueducts, plumbing, ancient plumbing at some point. I think that would be a good topic for a show.
I think that's something we should study off camera and bring up.
Yeah.
I want to study that one too, because ancient India has a lot of stuff with plumbing that's very surprising if you don't know. That would be fun on another day to get into. Totally. I almost got into it today, but again, that's taking us down a pipeline tangent.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. My reflection is that it would be cool to go onto that topic at some point.
Absolutely agree.
I would love to do more on like other conflicts in prehistory and how those connect into agriculture and things like that, and land and fertile farmland, because so many conflicts have been made over just like even just Britannia, and
yeah.
And how some of that connects to agriculture as well. Would love to touch on some of those things.
Yeah, I think
it's like the founding of France.
Getting something in the mornings that we can talk over, like the vinyls, was the biggest thing for me.
Nice.
To be hyped on, not just because we happen to have a lot of vinyls, but I'll just choose some at Chad's, and then I'll be like, Chad, this is the one. Pick it up.
Yeah.
But I think that'll bring a lot of daily surprises for people, and I think that's something people could really find enjoyment through in our show. So I'm excited to see how that progresses. I'm gonna edit today. I'm gonna get us back on track because I've been terrible about editing lately. I don't know what it was this last month. I just did not want to touch it. But I'm gonna break that habit. We're gonna start recording in my other podcast, the World Networking Podcast. Chad's gonna come on there with me, and we're gonna start doing some recording together. You guys are more than welcome to join in any of our sessions too. I'll kind of fill the panel in, and again, it's just kind of that format is when we have time, and it could be 20-minute podcasts. It really doesn't have to focus on the long form. This one, we get enough time recording in this one. And between it all, I have enough work. I don't need 4 hours of podcast editing a week. It takes so much time to export that data, or upload it. I mean, uploading's the trick. But I tangent.
Moving forward.
Editing's not too bad. It's just it is a thing, and it's like doing math. Actually, sometimes you just don't want to sit down and do calculations. You just want to streamline things. You want it to just plug and play.
I know exactly what you're saying.
It's content creation in general. I have a lot of respect for content creators that stay consistent with their themes. That's really tough. And unless you're being really outlandish and just your whole theme is just being raw. Flashy, I guess, or raw. Yeah. There's the people that are authentic and organic with it that are out there doing that content. It's crazy. Like some of the people that are uploading in my server, and I'm like, you guys have been doing a video almost every day. Like, how do you sit down and mentally do that with like kids?
They probably don't have ADHD like us.
I don't even have ADHD. I
Are you sure?
A lot of it is hyperanalyzation. Like,
yeah,
I hyperanalyze something and I don't want to do it until I feel like I can do it correctly.
Task paralysis, I think that's called.
Yeah,
you're
I've always procrastinated
so much that you're not doing it.
Yeah.
I get that a lot, bro. Eesh.
That's an interesting one, though. Task paralysis. I haven't ever heard of it referred to as that.
Yeah.
It does feel very real, though.
Have you ever had object impermanence?
What is that?
So, like, you just used your lighter and you set it down, and your mind remembers that you set it there, but you go back to grab it, but it's over there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, Chad can confirm that. I'm the one that helps Chad with that.
Dude, I'm just like, dude, these freaking gnomes are stealing my shit and moving it around again. But
Gremlins.
Your mind's remembering a different. It's bringing up a different memory of where you did actually put it at one point for thinking of where it is now. It's super irritating.
Yeah.
No, that's too funny. That's too funny. Yeah, I don't personally experience that too much unless I'm uberly stoned. But no, let's see who joined. Oh, heard the noise for a second. Regardless,
I tried to share my screen.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
What did it give you the same prompt that you need permission?
I don't know. No, it didn't.
Is there a highlight you have that you're showing us with this, Jeff, or should we close out?
We should close out so we can ramble.
Yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to show. There it is. You see that?
Okay, hold on. Keep it there. Trying to show on stream.
But I have one of those.
Yeah, we can't see it, but
you have a Consta wagon?
I have a Conestoga wagon. Yeah. I have the 1954 variety and not the horse-drawn one from the 1800s.
Thank you guys for being here today. This has been a great adventure. We're gonna have post adventures going on about what Hunicorn. Hunicorn safe and enjoy your weeks.
Always respect your unicorns.
Respect the unicorns.
Plus
This has been an intellectual adventure podcast. Thank you.
Very
Guys.
intellectual.
We are intellectuals.
Call us your own.
All right, unicorns of 1400